Harare, May 2019. A crowded bus station is a small size sample of the transport situation in Harare and the country at large. A mother carries a child on her back, a member of the security forces, people with disabilities, children, women, hustlers, and office workers, all trying to find out how to secure a seat on the cheapest transport to get home. Like everyone else, the mother with a child on her back is left with no choice but to use the packed Zupco buses. They have proven to be a hit. To use a combi, it costs 4 times as much for a one-way trip. For many women, it goes beyond the desperation of getting home before it goes dark. Unscrupulous individuals steal from and sexually abuse them through the jostling.
Tirikubatwa kaki susevanhukadzi pa pressure apa madzimai ari kubatwa dzimwe nhengo dzisingaite nevarume
nekubirwa futi at the end of the day saka hazvina kana hazvisi kutombotiitira saka ngavatinzwewo vatiitire zviri nani.
Persons with disabilities are not exempt from the long winding queues. Beyond the waiting, those in wheelchairs will need to find a way to access the bus when the rush for a seat begins.
Unoona semunhu disabled zvinhu zvakaoma kuti tigachirwe panhu pakasviba kudai so toona kana chichibva kana kumba chaiko kuti tiuye kuno kunenge tori dambudziko.
And yet, not everyone is pleased with the Zupco system. Some say it is not viable, and in certain instances, the buses make things worse.
Mazupco ari kutowedzera problem nekuti pamunofunga kuti anenge aripo vanhu vakangoungana makombi ari kubva ataka kukwidza nekuti vanhu vanenge vangwana vachiunganira mazupco.
And of course, the combi drivers are not happy with the new addition to the transport system. Chief among their gripe, like everyone else, is the price of fuel. Some even say,
sekuona kwangu ndototi dai maprices either fuel vaita maadjustments ipapapo kana kuti pakati tikaita $50 kana kuti Zimbabwe tikaita $1 tabeta story nani,
because it doesn't make sense kakuti isusu tonzi takure 50 cents chitakura 50 cents diesel tikutenga $4.87 saka hazvimeke sense ini ndakaenda ku11 nekudzoka ne50 cents kuenda ku11 ne50 cents $9 wodzoka kuti vanhu kuno kuchi $9 of which 5 liters ndaitenga nearly $25, so it doesn't make sense.
Isisi tadzoka kumarket yedizili kadzokera paservice station diziri riri kuda $5 per liter saka $2 yaishaya tuti pondo haizi kukwana asi kuroda pondo iyo zvoroti mari yati tiri kuzototsvaga totakura 3 matrip tikwanise kutenga diziri rekuya one way.
Inini ame driver ndodrivera kumbare but kumbare kuchiri right tichiri nane because mazupco aya haana zvina kusimba zvinongodhakwa anytime apa saka kuti zviende kumahambo kune mapotiwe ekumbare hazvikwanisiki saka kutown yes zvakaafecta.
Footage of the challenges the public is having with getting reliable, affordable transport has made it onto social media. They show commuters overloaded on Zupco buses, clamoring through windows to do whatever it took to save $1 or $2 or $3 to get from point A to point B. I went to speak to July Moyo, the Minister of Local Government, Public Works and National Housing. He says the government is working on fixing a situation that had gone unattended. The solution is,
all over the world, the urban areas are supposed to be the engine of economic development, of industrialization, of your trading, and the critical mass is the workers. And the workers come into town in the morning and they go back in the evening. And what has happened in the last few years is that government has not taken care of those workers in terms of providing cheap and affordable transport system. Yeah. When we reduced the fares from $1 to 50 cents in some cases and $3 to less to $2, we are injecting 50 more buses in Harare and injecting more buses in Bulawayo, Gweru, Mtare, all the cities, so that those workers can commute. the buses are already being assembled here. And not many people know that AVM, Quest are still in the business of assembling buses. And what we need is, as we make deals, we will make sure that some buses are assembled in the source market, like in Belarus, they will assemble some, but the majority will be assembled here. Okay. They are combis, and we are not going to make legislation to phase them out. In a number of countries that have allowed combis, the disparity between combis and the buses is there. It will be there because the one you are buying, you are wanting to buy a quickness of time in terms of where you want to go, whereas the bus, even where we have timetables, the buses runs at a timetable that is fixed, whereas the other one, if you are the number of us who are in this room, is enough for us to go. The first thing is the software that you can tap and go is already in place. We have already done test runs. I haven't found out how much they have now given to every bus, but when I last checked, there were some routes which were already doing that. Okay. Last year in April, we restructured all our public enterprises and said this one is for privatization, this one is for partial privatization. Now what we are now doing, and Cabinet is in the process of approving, is programs for each one to say, okay, ZUPCO, we are now at this point. We are, as government, and the President is determined that we spruce up our act in urban transportation, because it is very vital for both workers and other commuting people. And if we see that there is pressure in Harare, as what happened last week, we upped our supply side. So that's what we are prepared to do. As we plan the urban transport system, obviously we think of physical barriers as well as economic barriers, so that people can use public transport. It's not only an economic measure. The wastage that you are talking about, where you are driving by yourself and nobody else is in the car. In many countries, they use economic measures to make sure that they make it very difficult for you. We reached a point where, in the liberalization, maybe it was an ESAP thing, it was an economic structural adjustment thing, where we said, no, let every player just come in. And what the result of what happened is what suffered was public transport. And we now know the results. And so many countries are now alive to it, that you cannot really have these mega metropolitan places without functioning public transport system. Even in developed countries, where they have better cars, they manufacture their own cars, the public transport system is still popular. Yes. So we have to be alive to it. And maybe because for a lot of us the cars are new, this is we have to go through it, and now we know the pain. We are inviting people to come and join us in ZUPCO. If they don't want to be part of it, they know that ZUPCO is going to be a major player.
Then let competition soar.
I'm saying ZUPCO is going to be the major player. We don't have to allow people, businesses know where to go in, where not to go in. Unoona chikwama chako, uona kuti chawedzerwa ere kana kuti chasubtractiwa. Nezviripo.
With Zimbabwe's population expected to increase by just over 2% in 2019, the pressures on urban systems are not expected to decrease without interventions. So what then is the solution for Zimbabwe? Town planning expert Percy Toriro told the Herald Business that having more people driving personal vehicles to work is unsustainable.
I think it's important to understand that until the macroeconomic situation improves and we achieve macroeconomic stability, it's very important to understand that the transport system, like other major utilities like power, may need to continue to be subsidized. It is advisable that the transport system remains subsidized, especially the passenger public transport system. That will need to be subsidized for a time until we have macroeconomic stability and some sort of predictability in terms of pricing of energy and fuels, and then we can see a system that is privately run or commercially run. On the other hand, we must institute management at Zupco that is not corruption prone, that is able to curb corruption, so that we have an efficient Zupco that is delivering a service that people can rely on. Issues of fleet replacement, because the wear and tear on these passenger vehicles is it needs good management, and so we have to institute sound management so that Zupco remains viable, remains competitive, and is not destroyed as has happened in the past by corruption. So the talent pool around running the company has to be professional. It has to be people with experience and people with knowledge of running transport companies, and things like nepotism and so on have to be watched, because that's what destroys some of these institutions that really make a huge difference to the economy.
While that may well be true, the reality is that without a reliable, safe, and affordable option, it will be difficult to ask people to ditch the convenience of driving for public transport. But the proverbial wheel need not be invented here. There are, of course, major infrastructure projects we can look at as a solution in the long term for efficient transportation. But there are quick wins. Kenya started franchising its state-owned bus service in 2006. Partnerships between transporters, as we have seen in Bulawayo with Bupta, BTC, and Chovambaiwa, has helped bear fruit in giving standardized, trusted product. Existing laws need to be enforceable based on the infrastructure available. While our cities and towns in the country could probably show you impressive blueprints, they have to go beyond the paper. And there is history, and there are lessons. The very same Zupco ran efficiently up until the late 90s. To make it work, all registered companies contributed a certain amount to Zupco. South Africa has a transport levy called the Road Fund. I know, that scares many of us because it means the T word, more taxes, but it is worth looking into. I reached out to prominent industrialist and past president of the Confederation of Zimbabwe Industries, July Moyo, and he exclusively told me that subsidies will remain important for the sector as well as the running of Zupco itself. For those who remember the Zupco system, you'll know of the aesthetic feel. The buses ran on a strict time schedule with an effective ticketing system. You could plan your day according to the schedules, knowing that the 7:15 bus would depart at exactly that time without fail. Whether you were going to work, on a date, or to a football match, you were assured of making it on time, even if connecting to other routes. But the elephant in the room is the price of fuel. As long as that is a challenge, which is recent, is not faced head-on, efforts will struggle to bear fruit. And the cost must be the same for both buses and companies so as not to stifle innovation, as well as put jobs for drivers and touts at risk. As far as this history is concerned, fuel is bread. Everything else is the butter. Transport is key to the economic well-being of Zimbabwe. It cannot be allowed, especially in this environment, to engage in laissez-faire activities. Implementation, implementation, implementation. That should be the buzz phrase. Go beyond the policy documents, the workshops, the speeches, and other rhetorics. It will take a lot of listening to each other with intent to get this right, and get it right we must. The desperation we see daily can be upsetting, but that mere fact that the people still keep at it shows hope. What do you think the solution to our transport issue should be? Share your thoughts with us. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page.